Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are discussing the secrets behind if it's all about you, it's not spiritual. This is a concept that weaves itself throughout the teachings of Kabbalah, the effort towards diminishing our ego and growing in our capacity to love and share. And it sounds very spiritual, very elevated, very high level. And this is really the week of the year that we're being asked to bring it down to a daily practice. It's not something that's theoretical and philosophical, transforming our ego, separating ourselves from the parts of us that limit us, and embracing more of our light-like, creator-like nature is something that we're meant to do in every moment. So today, Eitan and I are going to break down some of the teachings and tools that can help us embrace the opportunity to leave those unnecessary and inhibiting parts of us behind and really embrace our true essence, which is the soul, which is the creator, and most importantly, which is love. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days as given to us from the teachings of Kabbalah. So every episode ends up offering wisdom and tools that will not only support you in this particular week, but really any week of your year, any year of your life. And the convergence of these energies that are asking us to look at the limitations, the ego, even the Kabbalists go so far as to use the word death, that by distancing ourselves from the ego-like selfishness and tendencies that we have, we can literally remove the influence of death from our lives. And that's a very big statement. So Eitan, how do you suggest we begin breaking it down today?
I think first, we have huge sages like Hillel HaTzadik that lived around 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Akiva, that when they've been asked, both of them said that the whole purpose of the spiritual work, the whole purpose of the Torah, this teachings, divine teaching that's supposed to help us to elevate, to ascend, is one purpose: love thy neighbor as yourself. And even though that 613 precepts, all 612 precepts supposed to get us to that level. Love thy neighbor as yourself, which in this weekly portion, in portion Kedoshim, this verse is here. And easier said than done. I would say that most people that listening would say, of course, I would love to raise my game of love the neighbor as yourself, to treat other people as I would treat myself, or not to hurt other people in the same way I will not hurt myself. Sounds simple. But that level called love thy neighbor as yourself is actually such a high level which represent the completion of our tikkun, the completion of our most elevated state. When a person reach a level, he care about someone else, he feels someone else. In the same way we'd feel his own pain and his willingness to love and to give with joy without any expectation for any return. The return is in the action itself. That's most elevated level. And actually, Rav Ashlag is saying, in order to reach love the neighbor as yourself, we need actually to run away from the ego. So basically, all the 613 mitzvot dividing to two. Run away, restrict your ego consciousness and love. Restrict your ego consciousness and love. And it's so interesting. The two portions that we're reading in this week is Acharei Mot, after the death, and Kedoshim, holiness. So to raise my game of love, loving the moment, loving the creator, loving others, giving others without expectation, without waiting for thank you, when it's comfortable, when it's uncomfortable. In order to raise that level, I need to raise the level of allowing the false me to die. Sound dramatic. To the extent I'm allowing the false me to die, to the extent I'm willing to face discomfort comes my way, with embracing it, knowing that pain I'm going through, it's actually the false me, and allowing it to die instead of trying to revive it and react towards it, to that extent, I can love. And both of them are connected. So, willingness not to nurture the false me, allowing it to die, will give me the strength to truly love. Love myself, love my soul, love others, love the Creator. And do actions of love. And then attracting the unique gifts that I came to channel how to love, how I came to love in my unique way, unique purpose. So that's the big picture. So let's break it down. Elisheva, you start.
Well, I think for a lot of us, it seems like two separate efforts. I need to work on my ego and I need to love others more. And the teaching at the very foundation, right? It's one of the concepts that we share in the very first classes that we teach, is that we are really a soul, and the source of our soul is the light of the Creator. And surrounding our soul is a kind of clothing that allows us to be in the physical reality, the body, which comes with the intellect and the emotions and the ego. Now, when we're born, the teachings of Kabbalah tell us that our ego is there supporting us, defending us, guiding us along the way. It's only later on that our soul begins to take dominance, to be more present as we come into our teenage years. That additional aspect of our essence shows up more strongly. And the fight, right? I think the Zohar uses the analogy of in a court case. Once you hear the first argument, it's very hard to be open to another truth, right? So we grow up believing that we are our ego, that we are jealous, angry, defensive, lazy, stubborn, all the things that we define ourselves as. And then as we emerge not only into adolescence, but as we embrace spirituality and we realize there's so much more to us than our fighting tactics and our isolated perception of ourselves. And I think that that's another big piece of the puzzle, is that our ego is really bent on separation and isolating us and making us feel alone and victimized. And this week, we really have the opportunity to see the true reality, which is I'm a soul that's connected to the light of the Creator. I'm a soul, and all the other souls are also connected to the light of the Creator, which really means we are one. And the separation and distance and competition and comparison I experience in my daily life is part of the illusion. That when we're working on our ego, what we're really doing is resisting the illusion that I am alone, I am separate, I'm by myself, it's all up to me, nobody's going to do it if I don't. All of that programming is part of that illusion. So for me, I feel like one of the big opportunities this week is to get clear on, and if you didn't do the work, right, I hope that everybody, if you've been listening the last few weeks, you see the progression of how the universe gives us a weekly assignment and how all of those weekly assignments are built on each other and connected to one another. In the whole month of Aries, we focused on how our ego is enslaving us, is entrapping us, is leaving us limited and bound to confined reality. Now every week we're being given another glimpse or another angle into how that previous version of ourselves or previous reality that we decided we want to break free from is not even real. And it's completely within our power to step out of it and embrace a better reality. So, really, the whole, even the love thy neighbor piece is the Creator saying, go back to your true essence, leave behind anything that's not this. And if you look at the actual scripture, the actual verses, there's stuff like, you shouldn't hold a grudge, and make sure that when you harvest your crops you leave some for the poor. Like, it's all of this kind of ethical, moral, be a good person out there. Kabbalah says, don't be a good person, be a better person. Remove more layers of separation, of isolation, of otherness, and step into who you truly are. It's like a coming home more than it is a becoming something else. Be more of your true essence, which is also this holy spark of the light of the Creator that's within you at all times. So it's more of you may see the same reality, but you shift your perspective so you understand. That meeting that I was in, that I felt that no one was listening to, no one was listening to me. That's my illusion. Every single person in the room experienced a total different reality relative to their ego. And my purpose is to not be confined by that perception and to connect more deeply to the perception of the holy spark inside me that is my soul.
Beautiful. So what you shared just remind me the words of Rav Ashlag in the book Wisdom of Truth, when he speaks about love thy neighbor as yourself, and he speaks about the source of all pain. Saying very simple, when you mention Elisheva being home is being aligned to the true desire vibration of my soul. If we would be aligned to the true vibration and desire of my soul all day long, we either will be givers or we will receive for the sake of sharing all day long. And if I would be in that state of consciousness, of mind, of actions, of words all day long, Rav Ashlag saying, I will experience no suffering and no pain. Because that alignment between me and my soul is where the soul is one with the Creator. What is oneness with the Creator? Being like the Creator. The Creator, the basic axiom is the Creator is not source of pain, is only source of good. So what's causing me pain? We call it in Kabbalah, whenever my desires, my thoughts, and as a result, my actions are focused on myself alone. So, and that needs to be cleansed. So there's two things we came to do in this world: to cleanse the desire to receive oneself alone and to increase the true actions of giving. Now, take, for example, you anxious about something and sometimes feeling the pain of others, it's part of true desire to share. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the other 99% of the time when we are anxious or fearful or worried or in pain about something. That moment of pain, while as its own story why I'm in pain, but the deeper story, I'm attached to my own limited desire. I'm not connecting to the desire of my soul. I'm afraid how I'm gonna be looked. I'm afraid things don't gonna happen according to my pain. I'm afraid about certain rejection. I'm afraid I'm not gonna get the pleasure I wanted. I'm afraid I'll be judged. I'm afraid I will go through a difficult process which I have no patience for. The reason of any pain that I'm going through is not because of the physical reality, is because what we call in Kabbalah the klipot, the false me, the shells me, not the true me, demanding something that I'm not getting. And that conflict between my true self and the part that I'm attached to causing pain. So, in one hand, our job in life is to kill the false me. How do you kill the false me? First, tells yourself, you know what? Embrace it. Don't fight. Don't nurture. Don't make that pain real. Don't give it some energy. Accept the pain as a cleansing of that false you. And right afterwards, how can I help with others? We're not here just to cleanse and to accept the moment. The accepting the moment is just for the sake of getting a boost of energy. How can I help others? And Rav Ashlag saying something very powerful and clear. When you help others, which you move towards the ladder of love thy neighbor as yourself, none of us are there. But we're moving. There's two intentions. I love others. I give to others. And by the way, giving doesn't mean you say yes to everyone that's asking you. Giving is actually really helping in a long term someone you need to say no to someone. But the intention behind giving, ask yourself clearly, is it for the sake of getting recognition that you gave or appreciation? Which that's the normal ego giving. So it actually doesn't help me to go to elevate myself in the ladder of love than about yourself. The opposite. I'm more dependent on some temporary receiving from this world. I'm not aligned with my essence. My essence only want one thing: alignment with the Creator, oneness with the Creator. And that should be the intention. The reason I'm giving, either kindness or charity or help or listening beyond my comfort, when I feel in a soul level it's the right thing to do, maybe uncomfortable, but it's the right thing to do, is because through this action, from the light, for the sparks of light that will reveal through this action, it will gradually, that's what Rav Ashlag is saying, transform my heart and align and create a second nature of true love and true giving. It means real transforming the energy of my heart to align to my soul. And he's giving the examples. Do you want, when you give, do you want just a rush of energy for, wow, you're such a giver? Thank you. Or do you want every giving to be another penny in your spiritual account and another penny of your spiritual account, and eventually you get a great account, and that account, that new prize means only one thing: nothing to do with anybody else. Transformation of your nature to align with the true, holy, pure nature of your soul. Imagine every little giving, big giving, especially when it's uncomfortable, also when it's comfortable. When you acknowledge you're channeling the light in this moment, you support it, it's your gift. It's a gift to transform my nature, and the biggest gift, alignment with my soul and with the Creator. Towards a dimension there's no pain and suffering. So when we're talking about Mashiach, peace on earth, removal, pain, and suffering, we are talking about the dimension that everybody will realize I'm not doing favor for someone else, and I'm not doing it for the sake of getting thank you. I'm doing it for the sake of truly aligning with my goal. But some of you might ask, when I'm anxious and when I'm going through pain, how can I give? Actually, we need both. When you're going through pain, embrace the pain. When you're going to challenge, embrace the challenge. When things don't go your way, what a gift! Because it goes the Creator way. But it's painful. Accept the pain. Allow yourself to feel it. Don't react to it. By doing so, you're allowing the force of illusion gradually to diminish and die. So giving allow us to kill the ego. Killing the ego allow us to give more. And it's a constant process.
It reminds me years ago when we would do, the Kabbalah Center would have these huge international events. At the end of the event, Rav Berg would sit to like 3 o'clock in the morning, different people asking advice, asking for a blessing, looking for guidance. And one by one, people from all over the world would wait to ask. And we would ask the Rav, does the Rav want to go to sleep? Is the Rav tired? It was intense. And the Rav also wasn't, a very young person at the time. And the Rav would say, I'm getting everything. This is for me, or the Rav used to call it enlightened greed. That by sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing, the one who benefits most is the one who's sharing, not the one who's receiving what's being shared. And that transformation, the gradual expansion that you spoke about, Eitan, is, to me, that example is the epitome of that, right? You're tired, you've been on your feet all day, you're hungry, but you can put aside your body's needs, your own. And again, we're not promoting people to be, to drop everything and just wander the earth, giving to others. We're here to be beings of the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, that everything that we receive, we can in turn then find a way to be a channel for, but at the same time to look at every opportunity as this action can bring me closer to the state that you were speaking about before, Eitan, that coming home to myself, to embrace my true essence, the light within me, that's the result. And of course, the Kabbalists talk infinitely, in so many different ways and places about the blessing that comes to the person who's able to put aside their own self-concern for the sake of others. The person who cannot calculate, will I have enough? Can I do what's going to be about me afterwards? If I spend all this time talking to this person, what's going to be afterwards? The work is not just to give and give and give and give, because then you can be depleted. The work is to give of yourself with intention and the aligned desire to achieve that transformation. That's why we call it transformational sharing, because it's meant to activate something within us that brings us closer to that state of love thy neighbor as thyself. And when you consider that all of the other guidance that we receive in the ancient texts about how to do things and what to do, and which it's really just to bring our body into a state of alignment with love your neighbor as yourself, it changes the perspective about everything, because there is so much intolerance, or there's so much self-righteousness that can come with being holy. Oftentimes when you think about the word holy, right, Kedoshim means holy ones. When we think in our minds of people who are holy, very often they're distant and they're isolated and they're far from the mundane, the worldly pleasures, the regular people like you and me. And the Kabbalists were very emphatic about the idea that the light is revealed where the people are, not on the mountaintop. So it's also for us to understand, nothing better, nothing more, no greater connection in my day than my morning meditation when the whole house is still asleep and it's just me and the light of the Creator and my connection and my intentions and my creating my vessel for the day. But the reason I take that time is so that when the house wakes up and I go out, do what I need to do in the world, that I carry that alignment with me for the whole day. That we shouldn't confuse holiness or the sacred with being different or separate or above, higher than. It's very much a part of that. And I think there's even a discussion this week about, right, many times in the Torah and in the Bible, when the Creator speaks, it's usually to one person. Like the Creator says to Moses, go to the Israelites and tell them this. No, this time the Creator speaks to Moses and the Israelites together as one. And it's really an indication for us that this is everyone's work, and not only the work that's reserved for the wise or the righteous or the learned. It's really, it's the work for everyone in the everyday. And it's often why we come up against the difficult people, the annoying people, the frustrating people, because we're meant to shift into a place of love and compassion and empathy, not necessarily with that person, but maybe with people in that situation. And once we're able to, we level up, and we no longer need that annoying or irritating situation because we've leveled up in our ability to love others, to have compassion for others, and we can then step into another level of our own greatness, even though we might not see that. I mention it because I think in those moments it doesn't seem part of our spiritual work, but it's very much a part of our spiritual work when you look at it through this lens that we're talking about today.
Beautiful. A lot of people mistaken to think, I more love thy neighbor as myself, so I'm weaker and just nice guy. Let's explain. True, pure intention of love thy neighbor as yourself is anchor me to connect with the force of the creator. I'm not loving because I'm trying to please someone because I feel that they're gonna love me. I'm loving because I'm more attached to the source in a real way. And as a result, I can love even more. And when you're coming from that right consciousness, sometimes you'll have to say no. Sometimes you'll have to be tough because that sometimes love the neighbor as yourself, sometimes being tough with someone. But you love the confidence because you're not worried about the response from the other person. You actually feel their soul and know it's the right thing, even though initially they'll complain because your source of energy is the truth, is the light. It's not the little me that afraid what people would say or not. So love thy neighbor as yourself. When I'm truly raise my consciousness in the right ladder, attach myself to the source of all strength and power, infinite power. So it's not actually becoming stronger, not from ego, stronger from place of trust and surrender. I'll do the right thing and I know the right thing will happen. And sometimes the right thing is being tough.
I think that that's important because sometimes when we think the loving thing to do is to fix it for the other person or to rush to make them feel better, we're actually depriving them of the building of their own connection to the
Then it's
source.
not a real love. Then
Right.
it's not a real love.
It's something I know that a lot of people struggle with, needing to fix, needing to make it better, feeling responsible for. But in those moments, acting like the light means acting like the creator in the way that the creator gives us the opportunity to do the work and doesn't rush in to fix it for us. So I think that becoming more like who we truly are, there's a big lesson in that. Love doesn't always look like doing the nice thing. It's a big lesson, I think, for all of us.
Beautiful.
Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on those platforms to receive even more content to support you in living what we speak about every week. You can also go to our website, weeklyenergyboost.com. You can still sign up for Limitless, look through our archives, help make possible the work that we do by clicking the donate button. But as always, your greatest support is in sharing the episode you're listening to, helping us reach a wider audience and really make a deep impression on planet Earth. So we thank you for that. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.
All the best.